All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We'll close it down here in a minute. I'm going to talk to you today about developer experience and the importance that plays in developer productivity when adopting DevOps in growth stage companies. Developer experience is often overlooked, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about where DevOps started. So DevOps was coined in 2009, and it was really to solve the problem of two cross-functional teams, developers and operations teams, collaborating. What was happening was developers were having a hard time getting their code to production, and this slowed down your time to delivery to innovate and deliver products to your customer. So with this, the boom of DevOps started, and there was a lot of investments in technology. From that, we got cool tools like Docker, which are an easier way to build and package your application. We got tools like Kubernetes, which help you to orchestrate and scale in the cloud. But these investments came with a cost, and that cost was complexity. It made it harder for developers to orchestrate and run their own code directly. And so later on in 2015, an organization called the DevOps Research Association, we call it DORA for short, was started to measure the impact that DevOps was having on developer productivity and how companies can ship software more effectively as a competitive advantage. The research was pretty astounding. What ultimately came out of this research was the conclusion that most developers are spending somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40% of their time shipping features. And the slide is not advancing, but this is a very low amount of time for developers to be working on feature development. At the end of the day, you want developers spending 80 to 100% of their time shipping features. And this research was done in 2018, 2019 by surveying about 2,000 companies. And what they found was there's 4 empirical measurements that you can use to measure developer experience and drive higher productivity in your organization. These measurements are lead time for change, which is a measurement of change cycles, deployment frequency, and this is how often and how enabled developers are to deploy to production, change failure rate, how stable are those changes when they go to production, and mean time to recovery, which is ultimately how quickly can you roll back from failure and incident in production. So from this, there was some really great thought leadership that came. And I want to give a shout out to a gentleman named Kelsey Hightower, who just retired from Google. Kelsey has been a thought leader in this space as a principal developer advocate at Google. And one of the things that Kelsey has advocated for is developer experience and the importance of this. He's gone to say that in the future, innovation in this space is going to be driven from workflows and how developers workflow. Ultimately, platforms, and this is one of the things that CTO.ai seeks to solve, will specialize on developer experience and use machine learning and data at the core of how we advance developer experience to help companies build a strategic advantage in their software delivery processes. When we think about this at CTO.ai, we think about this as the concept of workflowing. And workflowing is ultimately how you think about the developer experience from code to cloud. Our goal is to help you workflow smarter and help your developers achieve a state of flow. As we know, the flow state is when you completely immerse in an activity, spend 80 to 90% or even more of your energy on building the best state and the best product. And we think that the more you can do this within your developer team to automate the build, preview, deployment process, the better off you'll be. So happy to chat with anybody about developer experience, and really appreciate everyone's every time. Come back to the growth stage.